Okay, the March 6th, 2024 meeting of the San Mateo County Board of Education will come to order. As is our practice, this meeting will be recorded. I warmly welcome our Youth Commission Liaison, Bethany Zapp, to joining us at the dais tonight. Hi, Bethany. The board provides remote access for members of the public and welcomes community members joining in person and remotely. The board is following the requirements of Assembly Bill 2449, which enables remote participation by board members only under specific circumstances. Would Board Member Lempert like to speak at this time?
Yes, thank you, President Benini. Because of some relatively minor health issues, nonetheless, I'm not able to attend in person, so I would like to be able to join by Zoom tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Lempert. Is there a motion to approve Board Member Lempert's remote attendance this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion.
I do think
We have to say a few more things.
before you take a vote to.
Yeah.
Mute myself, have Mr. Lempert confirm that there's no one under the, is it over the age of 18 in the room with him?
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
No, I was supposed to say that out loud. Yes, no, I'm all by myself. There's no one over the age of 18 or anyone else in the room with me.
Okay, is there any other requirement? I can't remember. No, okay. So we have a first by Trustee Gerard, a motion by Trustee Gerard and a second by Trustee Cannon. May I please, is there any further discussion? No, okay. May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro?
Aye.
Mr. Camacho?
Aye.
Mr. Cannon?
Aye.
Ms. Gerard?
Aye.
Mr. Lempert?
Aye.
Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Ms. Benini?
Aye. The motion passes with the vote of 7-0, and the board has approved Board Member Lempert's remote attendance this evening. We use simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for those attending virtually through the end of public comment. Translation will continue further into the meeting if people are utilizing the channel. Thank you to our interpreter, Teresa Mendeville, for joining us remotely. For meeting attendees wishing to access the Spanish translation channel on Zoom, click on the interpretation button on the menu bar. We ask that all speakers be mindful of the Spanish interpretation and speak slowly and clearly. I also ask board members to speak directly into the microphone and remind all speakers who are wearing masks to please remove your masks when speaking so that all attendees can hear you clearly. Item 1B is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Trustee Gerard and a second by Trustee Torres. Is there any further discussion? Okay, may I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro?
Aye.
Mr. Camacho?
Aye.
Mr. Cannon?
Aye.
Ms. Gerard?
Aye.
Mr. Lempert?
Aye.
Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Ms. Benini?
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. Item 2 is public comment. Guidelines for public comment are available on the SMCOE website and in board docs, as well as on the table outside the boardroom in both English and Spanish. If there are speakers who require Spanish interpretation, our interpreter, Ms. Mendeville, will interpret following each speaker's comments. At this time, members of the public may provide comment for topics not included on the approved agenda. The Board of Education does not act upon any matter that has not been agendized, except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. It is the policy of the county board to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Superintendent McGee, do we have any comments submitted prior to the meeting?
We did not.
Thank you. Speakers are invited to make live comment and have 3 minutes to speak. The board's executive assistant, Jennifer Perna, will keep the time and advise when the speaker has 30 seconds left. Please keep within the time limits. To make a comment over Zoom, Members of the public may use the raise hand feature. Instructions for using this feature are provided as an attachment in the board packet. Once your hand is raised, please wait to be acknowledged by Superintendent McGee. Superintendent McGee, are there any members of the public attending remotely who wish to make a comment at this time?
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Members of the public may also provide live comments in person. Superintendent McGee, are there any cards submitted?
No.
Okay. Public comment addressing specific agenda items will be heard immediately before the board takes them up. If members of the public wish to speak to a specific agenda item, please use the raised hand feature when the item is announced, or if in person, please submit a card in advance of the item. For item 3A, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 21st, 2024 regular board meeting as presented?
So moved.
Is
Sec-
there a second? There's a motion by trustee Alvaro and a second by trustee Gerard. Is there any further discussion? Okay, may I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro? Aye. Mr. Camacho?
Aye.
Mr. Cannon?
Aye.
Ms. Gerard?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpert?
Aye.
Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Ms. Benini?
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the minutes of the February 21st, 2024 regular board meeting have been approved. Item 4 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is not debatable and requires a unanimous vote for passage. An item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular order of business for separate discussion and action if any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion by trustee Gerard and a second by trustee Cannon. Is there any further discussion? May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro? Aye. Mr. Camacho?
Aye.
Mr. Cannon?
Aye.
Ms. Gerard?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpert?
Aye.
Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Ms. Benini?
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the consent agenda has been approved. For item 5A, the board will receive information on updated superintendent policies. Superintendent McGee?
Thank you, Board President Benini. In the process of updating our board policies on a quarterly basis and posting them on the Gamut website, we would like to just share the policies that were reviewed by staff and the board policy subcommittee that were determined to be categorized as superintendent policies. There is a unique aspect to these 3 of these policies. You'll notice that Superintendent Policy 0410, 1312.3, and 5145.3 have an identical board policy. And that is to meet the requirements of a new legislation that clarified and described in great detail the process by which boards are responsible and superintendents are responsible for hearing discrimination or uniform complaint processes, mostly in the form of approving or disapproving materials, instructional materials for, say, libraries or English language arts curriculum. So rather than try and tease that out to make that work, we just decided the best and the clearest way to reinforce the responsibilities as articulated in the legislation is to have 2 separate identical policies. So in going forward, that's not our preference, is to have two identical policies, because we don't want to have 500 policies when we only need 250. And so, but in this case, it was there were unique details that we wanted to respond to. So this is really just a transparency piece. These policies have not yet been uploaded to the Gamut website until the board has, again, the full board has seen what they are and understands that they're being uploaded into the superintendent policy category. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Are there any questions or? Don't see any. I just wanted to thank you for bringing these to us and for letting us know, what they are before they go live, if you will. But we understand that they're also, thank you for pointing out the identical policies. I think there are a couple of other policies that happens. And I know sometimes it's because of the statutory reason, and sometimes we just wanted to have an identical policy, but it doesn't happen a lot, like you said. So
Exactly.
thank you very much. Okay, there is no action to take on this item. Item 5B is superintendent's comments. Superintendent Mickey, do you have any comments to share?
I just have one thing to share today. I was kind of something that made my day today. I met with Carmen French, who is our director of our teacher residency program. And since I've been back in January, I hadn't, today was our first check-in. So I was thrilled to hear that we have 9 residents currently in the program who are graduating in May. I think the date of graduation is June 1st, actually. And that graduation is always held for all the Alder graduates, because our graduates are going through the Alder Graduate School of Education at the CSU East Bay campus. So we'll put that on your board calendar, June 1st, and the date and the times for the graduation, but we'll have 9 residents graduating. One thing to recognize about the power of this program is that 8 of the graduates will be teachers of color in the classroom. So they will be joining the ranks of our county teacher corps next year. And we're very happy about being able to impact the ways in which teachers are able to represent the students for whom they're teaching. But the real thing that's all great news there, but the thing that really made my day was Director French has been working very hard on recruiting for next year. And next year will be our 4th year of the teacher residency program. So we have goals that we're aiming to meet as far as the number of residents. Of course, when we got started with this program, COVID hit us, so we had to get out of that and, to launch it. It was launched under Director Elizabeth Veal, who then moved over to Bayshore as the superintendent. So Director French took over last year, and so this is just her 2nd year. Last year, she spent a lot of time learning the program and understanding the cadence of the year. So this year, she was able to share with me that we have 19 residents enrolled for next year, with maybe 2 or 3, 4 more interviews yet to go. So I'm just going to round up to 20. And that means we will have doubled our enrollment in that program for next year. Ultimately, our goal is to have 40 residents going through every year. But we rely on our district partners to provide both the residents themselves and then the mentors that work with them. So some districts are really getting into the swing of the work. And I couldn't have been happier to hear that we have nearly 20 residents already confirmed and verified for next year's cohort. So I thought that was a great thing to bring to the board tonight.
Okay, any other comments?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That is very exciting. All right, item 6A, the board will have a second reading and take action on updated gamut policies. Superintendent McGee, do you want to tell us about these?
Sure. These are the same policies that the board considered at the last board meeting in a first reading. At that time, again, they had been recommended and reviewed by staff and council. And then brought forward to the board policy subcommittee where there is much, deeper discussion and verification that these are the right things to bring forward in the right format. At the last meeting, the board had no further recommendations for changes. So what you have here tonight are the same policy language as you saw at the last meeting.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Okay, are there any comments from the public?
Not seeing any.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve these updated gamut policies?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Alvaro, a second by trustee Gerard. Is there any further discussion? May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro,
Aye.
Mr. Camacho,
Aye.
Mr. Cannon,
Aye.
Ms. Gerard,
Aye.
Mr. Lumpert,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Ms. Manini.
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0 and the updated gamut policies have been approved. For item 6B, the board will engage in a discussion of California School Boards Association, CSBA, Good Beginnings Workshop Next Steps. Superintendent McGee, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So the board and the superintendent participated in the Good Beginnings workshop back in October 18th, facilitated and all the materials presented by a CSBA team. And in your board packet, we have the notes, summary of the notes collected by the CSBA team, and the notes are kind of organized in the same order as their template for a board governance handbook. So one of their suggestions at the retreat was that the board may want to codify the discussion and the ideas that were discussed into a board governance handbook, which the board currently does not have. In your board packet also, I provided links to 3 examples of board governance handbooks from 3 different county offices, all 3 who had also gone through the Good Beginnings workshop. So you'll see very similar materials and very similar content. And President Benini thought that it might be a good idea. We had put this out to the board through a email memo in early November, but we didn't really have any subsequent discussion. So just to ensure that the board is following up in the way that everyone wants, this is an opportunity to discuss next steps as far as either board governance handbook or some other actions that you might want to take to follow up on the discussion that was had on October 18th.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Or any thoughts on next steps, what we might do with this information? Trustee Camacho?
Go ahead.
Okay. I am very much in favor of a governance handbook. I've always supported that. And I'm glad that we have examples that we could be looking at. So I would support whatever next steps necessary to look at a draft, or at least start to form a draft and start having an agendized item about discussion of that governance handbook. So that's one thing I really support. The other thing that I think came from the conversation and that retreat was a little bit of still lack of either agreement or understanding of the board's role in response to its student-run programs or county office-run student programs. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Student programs for specifically the court and community school students. So at Gateway, Canyon Oaks, and Hillcrest. So I think that I would love a follow-up discussion on that because I think we just touched on that topic with no real conclusions. And I think those two are connected, the governance handbook and what is this board's understanding of its role in that.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any further comments? Trustee Gerard?
Yes, I just wondered if there was any kind of a timeline that we're looking at for this.
I think we can move as slowly or as quickly as you would like. One thing I didn't say is that we can absolutely take the outline of the governance handbook and transfer these notes in a way that makes sense and bring it forward as a draft, as a first draft, as a way to respond to the governance handbook itself. And we can do that for the next board meeting if the board would like staff to do that. That's an easy thing to do. And so I think part of the discussion is how you want to shape the governance handbook. Do you want to do it in your board meetings, or do you want to think about another subcommittee? So that's up to the board for, the how.
Any more questions?
No, I will just make a comment, and that is I'd like to see it sooner rather than later. So whatever we need to do to get started, I would like to see that happen.
Okay.
I think it will be very useful.
Great.
Okay. Trustee Camacho?
I agree. On terms of timeline, I think a good target is for December 2024 to be in place, adopted, all these things, because that puts us on a cycle to renew it if we need to every 2 years, because that puts us on an election cycle. I think it would be great for a board to have its governance handbook readopted just before each next election. So for it to be in place by December 2024 would be my preference if we can work backwards from there. And I'm totally comfortable with working on this offline. The staff will put together a draft of this and then put it for the board. We submit our comment, however works best. Subcommittee, I think, is just going to be time prohibitive.
Yeah, one of my first thoughts was it could fall under another subcommittee, but it isn't really, when we say codified, we would have it, but it isn't really a policy per se. It doesn't get published as a policy. It's like a book of norms and expectations and things, right? And it's a living document. So my only other thought is around the timing, because oftentimes, if we had it in place, that would be good. I mean, we need to have a timeline to get it in place, but then oftentimes if there are new board members who come onto the board, if that were to happen, we might want to include the board members in that conversation, like, but we first need to have it in place to have a draft. And then so that it can reflect the then current board's views of things and, understandings, and if we want to rephrase things, if, whatever. So, so we might think about moving it. I think it's a good first year goal because it won't rush us. We could do it sooner if we can. But, and then we can think about when we want to revisit it. Trustee Alvaro.
Thank you. Although I agree with you about getting input from new board members, I think the idea of having something in place for them to anchor into, then they have the following year of getting comfortable and providing their input so that the next revision contains all of their, that way we're not excluding a new person, but at the same time, we're not saying, okay, you just got elected, what do you want? We're giving somebody, I think an anchor. So I do like the idea of having it in place by this year and then revising it annually so that it does contain not only new board members, but just changing. Everything changes. I mean, we're looking at the board policy handbook and how many revisions come flying every 3 or 4 months, so I think setting a goal of once a year is a good goal.
Did Trustee Camacho, did you say every 2 years you think it should maybe?
I was thinking that, yes, but I think combining both of your comments, I'm in the middle of onboarding an employee myself and I'm a little busy. And so one of the first tasks I asked that individual to do was to use the handbook that we had produced and expand it. What are the questions that you still have? What are the things that you still, and so I think to that point, maybe for that first year of a new person in office can be just that, reviewing this handbook that we've put in place and taking notes about these are the things that I would have liked to have known. These are the things that maybe we should discuss. And that could be one of their first co-projects with the superintendent's office of presenting something to the rest of the board after they've had some time with it. So just creating a cadence of new board member comes on, they get the handbook, they spend some time with it. They, with the support of the superintendent staff, suggested updates or comments, and then we agendize it again for an update.
Yeah, we can figure out the logistics. Also, if there's the election cycle, I also think that there would be an opportunity for maybe not the, meeting that we had, maybe not that specific agenda, but, some sort of retreat, right? Where you would bring on the new person into the fold. So, or new people, whatever that looks like. So, okay, that's something to think about. So we have some Trustee Durant.
I have to put another 2 cents worth in myself. I agree with Mr. Camacho because I had envisioned it to be used very much like the CCBE, CCBE, it will be right now, handbook, which was for board members, new board members, to learn what they're supposed to do. And I think if we get a new board member on this board, maybe they'll know exactly what they're supposed to do, but my guess would be probably not. So that would be why they would need the handbook so that they could look at it. And then, like Mr. Camacho said, the next year be able to give input. So that was just my vision when we were talking about it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then I also, Trustee Torres, did you have your hand raised? Okay. I also wanted to just comment on your comment, Trustee Camacho, around the interplay between clarifying certain, expectations or roles and the governance handbook. They do have some coordination, and the policy committee, in looking at certain policies, already had made a request to council to look at some sections of the ed code around what the board's responsibilities are in terms of courses of study and some other things. And we've been actually having conversations about that in our, it's kind of, it crosses over many things, but in our conversations with superintendent about agenda setting and pending agenda items and some of the data discussions we had last time. So a lot of this is intertwined. So I do think we need some time to do a little bit more of that work, right, before we can fully build out the governance handbook. But I do think that if we could find a way to get an initial draft, with it, as much as we need to have in there, and then at least circulate it if for review. And it doesn't have to be a rush, but I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, and you did mention a retreat, so
Right.
this all evolved out of the October 18th
Mhm.
retreat. And I don't believe the board has a specific retreat scheduled for the fall. So we know that that can often be a challenge if you wait too long to figure out when would be
Mm.
good timing for, say, a retreat in 2024. So that might be something also to consider, that perhaps if there's a retreat in October, it seems like good timing for when you might have a pretty close to a final draft and then have a retreat to really fine tune and finally discuss everything that where you can solely focus on that document for the entire meeting, whatever it might be. So that can be something that President Benini and I discuss about when to plan for a retreat in the fall.
That sounds like a good idea to sort of align everything. So, and we're already starting to do that, which is good news. So, okay. Are there any other comments on what we might do as next steps for this information that CSBA memorialized for us? Oh, yes, Trustee Torres.
I just want to add that it was very helpful to see the examples that were provided. And I just want to say that the Sonoma County layout was my preference. I really liked how that was organized and laid out.
Yeah, so since those were provided, I would say in advance of the, and thank you for reviewing those, in advance of maybe getting a draft, if there are any comments that anyone would like to submit directly to Superintendent McGee so that we can get that, in the right way, then we can look at the format, offline and then try to bring something back that the board would be comfortable with. So, okay, are there any further comments? All right, there is no action to take on this item. Excuse me. For item 6C, the board will discuss and act on the participation of board members in the 2024 National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, NALEO, conference in Las Vegas, Nevada, June 18th to 20th, 2024. Would Vice President Torres like to start our discussion?
Yes, so I had just become a member per Trustee Camacho's information on this and suggestions, and I look up to him a lot. So I looked into the organization and was fascinated by everything that is happening. And they are having their 41st annual conference. And so I haven't been able to attend anything yet. And I think this would be a great opportunity to do so, especially because it is in the summer and it aligns with my teacher schedule. And it seems like a great opportunity to network and learn from other Latino elected officials.
Thank you for the background. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this item? Trustee Camacho?
I am happy to vouch for the effectiveness of this particular group. I've had the great fortune to attend on scholarship several of their educational events, educational policy institutes, local governance policy institutes, and their just several of their events. And I think their annual conference is the highlight of the year. So I'd be in great support of this, and anyone else that's interested in joining, because actually being Latino isn't even required.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. Are there any comments from the public? Doesn't look like it. Oh, there's one more board question from the board.
Sorry, I
Trustee
forgot.
Camacho.
And I haven't figured out if that fits with my calendar, so I might be coming back for this item as well. Sorry.
Is it not specific to a certain board member?
I think that if you go ahead and approve the board members who express interest,
Mhm.
that could cover you, and then you can decide if you can actually attend or not. Seems like the most efficient way to go about it.
Oh, I see. It is specific. I didn't see that part. But if you, it's open on our.
I
agenda.
guess you could also make the motion that any board member who wishes to attend has
Yeah.
permission from the board.
Would someone like to craft a motion? Or make one? Oh, trustee Alvaro.
So I'm not sure about the wording on this, but I would make a motion that we approve Board Member Torres and Board Member Camacho's attendance at the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials
Mhm.
Conference in June. And if anybody else is interested, they can come back and ask for, then we're specific for Board Member Torres and Board Member Camacho.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gerard. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, may I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro,
Aye.
Mr. Camacho,
Aye.
Mr. Cannon,
Aye.
Ms. Gerard,
I,
Mr. Lemper,
Hi.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Ms. Benini.
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the board has approved the participation of trustee Camacho and trustee Torres in the 2024 NALEO conference. For item 60 is board member comments.
President Benini, can I
okay, yes,
interject here really
absolutely.
quickly? Because
Did I forget
my
something?
comments came so quick into the meeting. I wasn't completely organized, but I
It was
did
quick.
want to make sure that we wish you a very happy birthday on March
Okay.
13th.
Thank
You are a March birthday baby. And you join our executive director of P3 and early learning, Marshall Moten, whose birthday is on March 7th. So those are our two March birthdays from one SMCOE. So happy birthday,
Thank you.
President Benini.
Thank you for that. Okay, board members, well, it's time for comments. Trustee Lempert, do you want to start us off?
No comment other than I'm laughing that the one meeting I'm not able to be there in person is, I think, the shortest meeting ever. Anyway, look forward to seeing you all in person, and I will be well enough to go to that event tomorrow. So look forward to seeing some of you there then, but look forward to seeing you all in person next time.
Thank you very much. Okay, Bethany, would you like to make some comments?
To start off, happy birthday to you. And as for my role as the liaison to the county sustainability programs, I reached out to the superintendent of Jefferson Union High School District in regards to establishing a sustainability board. And she said she would bring it to her cabinet and give me an update by next week. So that's something to look forward to. And that's all for me.
Thank you very much. Trustee Cannon?
Thank you. Just want to say that Nancy's comments about what do we call the teacher program? The
Teacher residency.
residency program. Were welcome, very welcomed. Just a great thing. And reminded me of the pleasure of attending the graduation for the administrators last week. It's great to see young people, enthusiastic people moving ahead. And the atmosphere at those things is so warm, and there's such camaraderie that it really is a joy. And we had a nice representation from our deputy superintendent and from Nancy, so that was great. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Alvaro?
I just want to congratulate Wendy Richard on her retirement. She's been a really important part of this team for a while and well-deserved retirement, but we will definitely miss her. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Camacho?
I will start with some savings because I actually have a free conference registration to the NALEO conference, so we'll save some bucks there. I would just kind of a little bit of overlapping of day job and board work. So I hosted my team for a retreat here and we visited some of our school partners, which include Oxford Day Academy, so a little overlap there. So we visited with a wonderful candidate paraprofessional there. And then I visited with paraprofessional up in Jefferson Union High School District. I know I say this over and over again, but our paraprofessionals and classified staff are amazing educators. One of the ones that we met with at Jefferson High School, she is a bus driver and a para and everything else. But one of the things that she said during our conversation was that her classroom is just one on wheels. Which I never really thought about that, right? Because of the interaction that she is engaged, that she's doing with them every day on that bus. Sometimes they're on that bus for 30 to 40 minutes a day. So just wanted to celebrate all of our classified employees who are really the backbone of our whole school system, and do tremendous work with students every day. And I'm just happy to be a little part of their pathway to degree, but there are some tremendous paraeducators and classified staff throughout this county, and it's amazing to see them in action.
Thank you for sharing that. Trustee Gerard?
Thank you. I'd like to join with Ms. Alvaro and wishing Wendy a very happy retirement. It's always exciting to retire, but we hate to see someone that's worked so hard and contributed so much go. So it's kind of a mixed emotion thing. And I also would like to wish President Benini a very happy birthday. That's very, very nice. It happens to fall, ironically enough, on my foster daughter's birthday, so I will remember. So I always have to associate things. I have also been very, very busy with our transition group for our county board members. Going into CSBA, I've been averaging anywhere from 2 to 3 Zoom meetings a week for different groups. They've now divided us into groups, and then we meet once a month as a whole group. And so I'm going to be going along with board member Torres to the workshop this weekend. And there is going to be a session at the workshop, 90 minutes devoted to questions about the transition. And it's supposedly Vernon Billy will be there and some other people who we don't know exactly sure from CSBA that are going to field these questions. And we did this on purpose because there's too many things out there and this person says one thing and this person says another thing. And my concern is that in all the meetings that I have attended, what I am hearing is CSBA still does not get it. They do not understand that what Superintendent McGee does is very different than what superintendent whoever in a district does. The board, county board, is very different than what a district board is. And they keep every single meeting that I have attended, they keep trying to lump us all together. And they just aren't getting it. And our letter was extremely well received. I've heard all kinds of wonderful things, and people requesting more copies from other people that they're getting because they want to send letters of their own. But I wanted just to alert all of you and to Superintendent McGee, because I know you meet with the county superintendents, that they just aren't getting it. They are not getting it. And we're fighting and fighting and fighting everything. So it's kept me up at night, quite frankly. And so I really didn't want all of you to think, because I don't know what you're hearing or getting or reading or whatever, that everything is peachy keen, because it's not. So if there's anything you want either myself or I'm sorry, Hugo, to ask or say at this meeting, please let us know. I asked Jennifer to print 50 copies of our letter, which I will be distributing at this meeting. And the one person we have not heard back from is Mr. Billy. So unless somebody has heard that something I don't know about. Okay. Well, I know everybody got it because I've heard from other people. So anyway, that's where we are with that. So we'll see what happens this weekend. I think it's probably going to be highly charged and emotional. There are 45 county board members coming, and that is in spite of the fact that CSBA did little or nothing to advertise it, because they took that completely away from us in December and would not let us do what we normally do. So I'm pleased with that under the circumstances. So and I am going to the Founders Day luncheon tomorrow, and very excited about that. And then I will leave to go to Sacramento. So, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Torres.
Yes, last Saturday, I led an educational equity panel for the new Leaders Council of the Silicon Valley. So it was great to present what that meant to me to a group of non-educators. I had asked how many people in the room were in education, and there were only, I think, 1 or 2 hands. And then when I asked how many had seen Abbott Elementary, the hands shot up. So that I had some reference points with them, but it was a great panel. I was only allotted an hour, and we didn't get through everything because there was so much to discuss. But just thank you to the NLC group for thinking of me and allowing me to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of comments. First, I wanted to thank Trustee Gerard for her hard work on the transition panel and the conference. I'm sad I can't be there, but for the conference, but I know you will represent us well, and thank you for spending so much time trying to get the message across of the things that we need. And I think we've given a lot of input. So this is where we are. On that note, I also and I wanted to say with the letter, I wanted to, I forgot to bring gifts that I wanted to bring tonight, but I did let Jennifer Perna know. I will be stopping by tomorrow at some point because we got all of the letters out last week, and with just a tremendous amount of help from Jennifer and also from Karen Williams, who spent, I'm not sure how long, but they assembled a lot of the email lists. I created a Google document, and we had a lot of emails to gather, and we didn't get any help from anyone else outside of ourselves. So even though we did ask some other people.
We did ask.
So we weren't able to get lists, but we figured it out. So thank you very, very much for that. And so hopefully I'll be able to swing by tomorrow and drop off some goodies. I also was very sad to see Wendy Richard on the retirement list, although that's exciting, right? But I had the opportunity to work with her and with Kevin Bultema and with Minette when we were doing the policy work, which was really intensive. And so I knew that she'd done so much work prior to that, but that was my first time really getting to talk to her more. And so I wish her the best. I will also be going to the Founder's Day luncheon tomorrow. So we look forward to hearing you, Trustee Lempert. We know you are keynoting. And then I think last but not least, I just briefly wanted to share that I was able to attend and participate in this really exciting work that BHRS, Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, is doing around the crisis services in the county. It's highly intertwined with the work that goes on here at the county office. And Mason Hendricks was in attendance at the first day. It's a 2-day venture, a human-centered design project to explore all the crisis interventions, to learn from each other, to bring together the silos. And it was an amazing day. So I'm hoping I can be there for a bit tomorrow, but there's some rolling attendance. And so it's just great work. And it was great to see Mason. So, so that's, I think, all I have. So let's see. For item 7A, the adjournment, tonight we will adjourn our meeting in memory of Gus Zeroins. And I have some things to say about Mr. Zeroins. The San Mateo County lost a legend this week with the passing of Gus Zeroins. The San Bruno Park School District Natural Sciences teacher who brought the first classes up to Camp Jones Gulch for outdoor education in 1965. Gus lived to be 97 years old and still held the outdoor education program near and dear to his heart, speaking of it to nursing staff in the days prior to his death. Mr. Zeroins was an environmental educator before anyone knew what that meant. He understood the importance of giving children time to experience the natural world and created opportunities for them to do so, including a successful pilot of an overnight program with a group of 6th grade students. This experiment grew to become the award-winning outdoor education program. The San Mateo County Office of Education assumed operations in 1969, and Mr. Zeroins served as the first director. More than 250,000 students from districts across San Mateo County have attended outdoor education since Mr. Zeroins founded the program. More than 20,000 high school students have also served as cabin leaders, excited to return to outdoor education to help younger students experience the magic. For decades, a visit to outdoor education has been the highlight of the school year and a rite of passage for students across the county. As a result, Mr. Zeroins' legacy is long and strong in San Mateo County. In Mr. Zeroins' honor, County Office of Education and the San Mateo County Board of Education remain committed to the work ensuring San Mateo County students continue to enjoy the transformative experience of outdoor education. We will miss our friend Gus Zeroins and send our deepest and heartfelt condolences to his family. The next regular meeting will take place on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.